Welcome to the Phil Steele Plus Tour with selections. This is for this week's games, Saturday, October the 25th. And up for you today, I've got 5 selections, 6 quick hitters, and even an NFL play. As always, a recap of last week's action. And for the second straight week, guys, 4-2, but one play away from being 5-1. 2 weeks ago, it was Philip Montgomery going for 2 points with Virginia Tech scoring a touchdown and then losing by 15 instead of 14. And we went 4-2 instead of 5-1. Last week, we had Indiana, and Indiana always puts the hammer down at the end of the game, and they did. They got a late field goal. They're ahead of the spread. Everything's good. Michigan State goes and gets a field goal with 33 seconds left to sneak in that back door, and instead of 5-1, we went 4-2 on the selections. Now, the quick hitters, which had been super hot at 14-4, well, they went 3-3. Not a bad week, but 17-7 now over the last 4 weeks for the quick hitters. And finally, the NFL play was an easy winner with the Cleveland Browns over the Miami Dolphins. Can't get much easier than that. So that's a recap of last week. Let's get started this week. Now, you looked at the start here, guys, and you said, Phil, you've been picking against Navy almost every single tour or every single press box. You're picking against Navy again, aren't you? I'm throwing you a curveball here, guys. I'm actually going with over in the Navy FAU game, over 62.5. And let me explain to you exactly why we're doing that. Now, remember, we went on the tour. We had Rice. It was an option versus option game. Rice covered that game. And then here, the Air Force game, I called it an option versus option game. And Air Force probably should have won that game. They had a 23-18 first down edge in it, but Navy ended up coming out of there at the win. And then on the press box, I used a best bet on Temple over Navy, and Temple should have won that game. They had a 518 to 384 yard edge, 27-15 first down edge. But Temple has a coach that had shut down the option and a defensive coordinator that had shut down the option. Now this week, they're taking on Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic has not faced the option. Their defense coordinator is not an option guy. He hasn't faced the option, and their head coach, Zach Kitley, is more of an offensive head coach. That means Rice should be able to get rolling because they're in a better situation. It's not the option versus option thing anymore. And also with Navy, and I've pointed this out before. I think I pointed it out in the UAB game when I liked the over in that one. And that is if you take a look at our pass efficiency defense. And let me click on one thing here for the pass efficiency defense. All right, let's go find that. Pass efficiency defense. All right, here we go. Let's go to pass efficiency defense. And when we click on that, we find that Navy they don't face a true pass attack. And they're number 123 this year. And what I pointed out to you before is when you go here, we give you the spread record since 1976. So if you ever need to do any research, that's a ton of years of research that are all available there. But we also give you this, who the head coach is all this time. Navy's been running the option since Niumatalolo took over. And look at their past D rankings. 109, 74, 108, 100, 115, 120, 100, 104. They just don't fare well against the pass. We saw that with UAB. UAB threw for 321 yards. And look at who they've played this year. They played VMI, an FCS team, a weak FCS team. They played Tulsa, a team that was starting a quarterback. It was his second start, first road start, second start overall. He only threw for 189 yards. They played an option team in Rice. They played an option team in Air Force. And then last week they took on a passing team, last game I should say, and they gave up 345 yards. So twice they've taken on a decent pass attack, and both times they've given up over 300 yards. Now they're taking on Caden Veldkamp, who's got over 2,000 yards passing this year. They're averaging 318 yards, 65% completions on the year. This is a pass offense. This is a potent offense as well, one that's averaging 31 yards above opponent's average. Now, as mentioned, Florida Atlantic does not have experience against the option, and look at this run D. In the last 5 weeks, they've got 4 red categories here. Red would be over 200 yards rushing. So I love the red-green on the charts here. We can't do it in the magazine because it wouldn't show up as well. It only is black, but I love the red-green on Phil Steele Plus. It really, you can see at a moment weaknesses, strength. This is almost a red-green game here in this fact that Navy runs the ball, and it's this green taking on this red. You should be able to have success. And in conference play, Florida Atlantic averaging 4.8 yards per carry. Now they did play one option team this year, but they 350. But Rice is not Navy. Navy is much more potent. Then another factor I want to point out here is that Navy's last year installed the new Millennial Wing T, and off a bye, look what they did. They had a bye week. They put up 56 on Memphis. They had a bye week. They put up 51 on Charlotte. They had a bye week. They put up 34 on East Carolina. So they are off a bye where they have it. And I checked the weather. The weather on in Annapolis at 12 o'clock noon on Saturday is sunny and 55 degrees. So we've got a potent offense against a weak pass defense. We got a potent run game against a weak run defense. We got a team that's not normally facing the option, and Navy's been playing teams that know how to defend the option. So the offense is ready to let loose this week. And in the same token, Navy hasn't been taking on any pass attacks, and when they do, they give up big numbers. Add it all up, we're going over 62.5 in the Navy FAU game. All right, let's go to your Conference YPG Game of the Week. Now, last week, our Conference YPG Game of the Week, which was also a warm and fuzzy game, as I pointed out, was Temple over Tulsa. Was Temple over Charlotte last week. So we're going to put Temple here on the left because they are the visitor, and this week they're taking on Tulsa. Now, I call it a warm and fuzzy game because we used Temple against Navy, as you know, here on the tour, as a press box selection. And that was a dominant win. They had a 518 384-yard edge, 27-15 first down. That should have won the game outright. Navy got a late quarterback run for a touchdown, but Temple led the entire game. So I was really happy with what I saw at Temple. And then last week we used them here on the tour against Charlotte. You guys had to enjoy that game. 49-14, led that thing 28-7 at the half. Just a dominant win. Okay, now I said Conference YPG Game of the Week. So it's time to break out the schedule predictor. And this one is right here. We added this column last week, the Conference AGG. Remember that? I added it this week. It wasn't even on the schedule predictor last week. Now, first of all, when you look at the schedule predictor, and what you do for that is, once again, if we go here, we're going to click back to the menu. Just go to Schedule Predictor when you get to your menu, if you're a Phil Steele Plus member, and just click right here. This downloads. Now, it says right here, downloads Phil Steele's lines for all FBS versus FBS. That's a title that was put in back in August, for crying out loud, because that's about all that was up on the line thing. But right now, it should say, download the schedule predictor, Todd. So Todd will get that corrected. By the time you click on this menu today, it'll say, download the schedule predictor here. This explains each of the categories right here. And this is where you click on it, and it takes you right to it. So this is not the entire schedule predictor. What I do is Todd chops down just the games we're going to talk about, brings them in here. You actually have access to every single game, every single best bet. Up here is your best bet record. And what I did this week, I started highlighting the red, which are the ones that didn't do so well last week, and then the green were the best ones. Last week, the best one was Situation, went 5-2. The last time here score went 7-3, and the technical place, which had been struggling on the year, went 4-0 last week. And so that's that record. Here is your year-to-date record for each of these categories. And then here is your last 3 years' records. Now, the overall best bets, 2 weeks ago we put up 14. I believe, what was the record? We had 2 ties. I believe it was 8-4-2. Last week it was 8-7 for the best bets. This week I will finalize the predictor either Thursday night or Friday night with the best bets. There should be probably double-digit best bets again. And how this works is each of these is a best bet for that category. But if you have 3 or more, it becomes, that all work on one side, it becomes a best bet here in the schedule predictor. So the new column I added this week, which pretty much excites me, last week, is the Conference AGG. Okay, I added that last week. This week I added the home away AGG. So if you click here, and let's go to this team, we see that Temple, here is your AGG. And the beautiful thing about the AGG, once again, there is no starting number. So if Ohio State played this schedule and put up these stats, Ohio State's AGG would be 98.0. There's no starting number for the team. It only takes into account your opponent. You're not just the points, but the yards rushing, yards passing on offense, yards rushing, yards passing on defense, and the site. It takes all that into account when it comes up with the AGG. Now, this is your season AGG, but then you look for, hey, where's the team best? Is it at home? Is it at away? Well, look, they're doing pretty well away. They're actually a little better at AGG away than they are at home. But look at the conference AGG. In conference play, they're playing to 101.3. Now, if you look at Tulsa here, their most impressive games were non-conference, a couple of greens there. They are playing in conference play at 84 yards, or 84.0 AGG. So 84, that's 17.3, even adding in the home edge. You're looking at Tulsa here. Where's the conference AGG? Right here. Temple is 14.8, and that even has the home edge in it. Plus minus ratings, 13.5. I haven't found another one to make this an official best bet yet. We'll see if it gets there Friday or not. But right now it is not an official best bet. But the categories, plus minus ratings, have them by 13.5 and 14.8. The thing I like about Tulsa, you may not know this, but look at their quarterbacks, Evan Simon and Giovanni McCoy. Now, they use McCoy as a runner. They haven't been using him as much, but they do use him. These two quarterbacks have 18 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. Don't you love that out of a quarterback? And that's part of the reason that Temple has been playing so well. They make me extremely happy with what they've been doing. And last, I mentioned the Navy game already. Temple is also, if we click up here, I pointed this out last week. How about you say, can Temple handle the away favorites role? And I mentioned it last week because they were an away favorite. Temple was 10-5-1, but take away this 2-2, and all of a sudden you're 8-3-1 as an away favorite the last 9 years. Well, this year they won at Charlotte, so now it's now 9-3 or 8-2-1, 8-2-1, 9-3-1, 9-2-1, excuse me, as a conference away favorite. Oh, it's conference away favorite. Let's go down here. Conference away favorite that was 8-3-1. Take away the 1-1. It's 7-2-1. 8-2-1 as a conference away favorite. And I love these angles that you can get. This is about what's in the magazine here, but you get as a favorite, as a dog by 3 or less, single digit, double digit, 20 or more, conference home favorite, each of the categories, conference favorite, conference dog by all those numbers, versus ranked teams, versus top 10. Use these spread logs around every single team. Doesn't matter what team it is. They have spread logs on them right up there. So anyway, the Temple's greatest away dog. How about Tulsa? Tulsa is just 9-15 as a home dog. You know what? This should be a technical play. This will be a technical play, and I got a feeling this will be a best bet by the end of the week, by Friday. So always check back on Friday for the latest updates for the schedule predictor. And so add it all up, your conference YPG game of the week and your warm and fuzzy play. We are going to go with Temple -6. And look at this, conference AGG, 6-4 last week, but 35-14 over the 3 years. And it says no 2 years. That should be 3 years. That's me. That's not Todd. I should change that to 3 years on the schedule predictor. All right, quick note for you. As always, I've got a special for you for taking the tour. And it's the same special that I had last week, but it got even better. Why is that? Well, the battle is on. As you know, I led after September. Naturally, the computer's kicking my butt so far in October because the computer, once October hit, went 17-7, went 19-11. This year, computer went 3-1 again last week. Now 9-3 this October for the computer best bets. 4 more best bets this week, by the way. The computer's 3-year fall record, once October hits, 44-21. The computer really heats up. By the way, last week, the Inside the Press Box NFL did it again. I say it every week. The NFL best bets went 2-1. The NFL best bets went 2-1. The NFL best bets went 2-1. So once again, last week, 2-1 for the NFL best bets. Here's the tour special. You can become an Inside the Press Box subscriber. We actually lowered the price on the site from the $169 to $129 this week. It's $89 for the postseason and $215 for the bundle. I'm letting you take 54% off. I think last week it was like 52%. All you have to do is type in the code COMPUTER7. Here's your prices. College Inside the Press Box for the rest of the year. 7 issues, $59. That's less than $10 an issue. NFL, now that's more than 7 issues. It's going to be like 10, 11, 12 issues, $59. Postseason, $40. The college and NFL bundle, you get every college newsletter, every NFL, and the postseason is $215. You get it for $98. Now here's the kicker. You get Phil Steele Plus, a $99 value, free when you subscribe to Inside the Press Box. So if you're thinking of going to Inside the Press Box right now, or going to the store, I should say, when you go to the store, you're going to see that you could get Phil Steele Plus for $99. Don't buy that. Go get Inside the Press Box. Don't pay the $99. Actually get Inside the Press Box. College, NFL, the bundle's a great deal. So you get the bundle, you get every college, every NFL, every postseason newsletter, all the way through the Super Bowl. You get the computers plays on every single game, and you get Phil Steele Plus included, all for $98.90 right now. So there's your code word, Computer7. You see it on the tour. I'm not going to bring that up again, but don't miss out on that. It's a tremendous deal. Okay, let's get to your third play this week. And we bring back the Stephen Hartzell play. All right. 3 weeks ago, I had a Stephen Hartzell play, and what I do is every Tuesday night I record a podcast with Stephen Hartzell and Wayne Cook. It plays on Wednesday, and you could go to Learfield and get it. I also tweet it out, so just go to my Twitter and you'll see it. It's a great show. I love doing the show with Wayne and Steven each week. We talk about I believe we cover all the top 25 games, and we do that for a half hour. And it's always a lot of fun banter on there between Steven and Wayne. Anyway, when I do the show, at the end of the show every week, Stephen Hartzell will say, Phil, do you have any games that are like under the radar? Well, 3 weeks ago, we put it here on the tour. I used Akron +8 against Central Michigan. Akron won that thing 28-22, led the entire game. I think Central scored some late points. In fact, let me take a look at that real quick, see what happened. When you click here on box score, I love the fact that collegepressbox.com lets us post these. This tells you how the game is played. You see Akron led 28-10. Central Michigan got a field goal with 2 seconds left in the third quarter, and then 2 fourth quarter scores to make it 28-22, but it was never in doubt. And then 2 weeks ago here on the tour, we gave the Stephen Hartzell play, which was Kent State, and they were -2 against UMass. And if we click on Kent State real quick, -2, keep in mind, guys, they won 42-6, so you can't get much better than that. Well, last week I passed. We did not have a Stephen Hartzell play on it last week, but we do have one this week. And we're going to put Western Michigan over here, and we're going to put Miami of Ohio over here. So at the end of the show, I told Stephen to keep this quiet, and he has so far, because the line's 1.5. Miami of Ohio is 1.5. By the way, Temple's -6 against Tulsa. We had a guy mention before that I should mention the lines, and I sometimes forget. I did mention the line now. So anyway, Miami of Ohio is just -1.5. Here's what I like about Miami. If you guys have followed the tour the last 5, 6, 7 years, you know I tell you all the time, Chuck Martin of Miami of Ohio basically mails in the non-conference games. Look at the record, 12-30, and then dominates conference play. Take away this 2-6, you're looking at 49-21 heading into the year. 49-21 in conference play. Now, how about as a MAC home favorite? 7-2 the last 2 years, and conference favorite. Sorry, MAC home favorite 6-1, and now he's on a 7-1 run. He was a MAC home favorite once this year, so he gets things done. 49-29 in the MAC at home, 3-0 this year. That's 52-29 straight up at home. Now this is, if we go here, a home away. It's a new category I put in this week. Once again, this tells you their home average is 93. And by the way, this home average, it says 93, but I looked it up. It's actually 93.8. So this must have been posted. Something got changed. It's actually 93.8. We'll refresh the page and get the 93.8 up there. But as you see, Western only plays to an 89.2 away. They're a much better team at home. So you have a good home team versus a team that doesn't play as well on the road. You add up that advantage, and we have Miami by 8.4. They're laying 1.5, guys. My preseason line was Miami by 10. They're laying 1.5. Do I need to keep mentioning that? And then, as mentioned, you've got a team here in Miami that's 52-29 straight up at home. They are 25-6 straight up at home since 2019. You've got a Western Michigan team that on the road, this will be a technical play as well out here. This will be a best bet out here at the end of the week because it is also a technical play. I'm giving you the technical advantage here. And when you see the technical play, what this does, ULL, away dog home favorite Series A. What does that mean? Well, it means that I don't have enough space to type all the records in here. If you're a PressBox user, you have the records in your PressBox write-up. So look at the ULL away dog record, look at Troy's home favorite record, and look at the series road team record. All three of those things are in favor of Louisiana this week, and that's why it's a technical play here. Now, this one's in yellow. That means it doesn't have 3 factors. It has 2 factors in its favor, and that's why it's in yellow. So an official best bet would have 3 factors in their favor. Yellow means that. And the yellow means that it is almost a best bet. If it's in here, it counts as a half best bet. If it's out here, it counts as a half best bet. I do not include it in here. Only the green ones are included. At the end of the year, I'll go back and include the yellows and then show you the records for them for the year on that. But that's how the technical goes. And then the best bet categories are out here. All right, so we've got the fact that they're a poor away dog. 9-14 ATS is an away dog. You can come back to here. 0-4, 1-5, 4-7, 7-10, 8-11, and add in this year's. You're looking at 9-14 as an away dog. They are 4-13 straight up on the road. Look at that, 3-11 straight up on the road. 4-13 now straight up on the road. So you've got a team that wins at home versus a team that struggles on the road. You've got a solid home favorite against an away dog, and you've got Chuck Martin and Mac Play. And add it all up. Oh, and, I like to tuck in that special teams play of the week, which is 2-0 this year, by the way. Let's go to special teams play of the week for a minute. Let me pull this one back over here, see if I've got it. We're going to click on here, go to the Phil Steele menu. We're going to go to special teams. All these things are available. All these categories are available. You can look them up. If you have Phil Steele Plus, you'll be on it all night Friday night preparing for your games. But look at this final factor here. Miami of Ohio, number 13, special teams, and Western Michigan, number 72. You've won with the special teams play of the week here on the tour each of the last 2 weeks. I love that advantage. 13 against 72 in the special teams also. That makes it even better. So your official Stephen Hartzell play, which, by the way, these plays went 9-2 when I put them on the tour in 2022, and they're 2-0 this year. Your Stephen Hartzell play is Miami of Ohio -1.5 over Western Michigan. Okay, let's get to your 5th official selection, and it's going to be my situational play of the week. And for this one, by the way, it's interesting. Last week, Connecticut was a situational play of the week, and they are on the road this week against Rice. Last week, they were a situational play of the week. My computer used them as a best bet last week against Boston College, and they, of course, won the game outright last week against Boston College, 38-23, a solid win on the road. Now, what was the situation for Connecticut last week? Well, the situation, I didn't explain it on the tour. It was explained in the Inside the Press Box, but I'll show it to you here. If you looked at the schedule for Connecticut, they played Delaware, Ball State, Buffalo, FIU. They're off a bye. You look at the rest of their schedule, they had one Power 5 team on the schedule, Boston College. And, they have Duke on the schedule. But this was off a bye. You're playing Boston College, a regional rival. Huge game, massive game for Connecticut. A 5 in the 1-5 schedule. And earlier, remember, they had played Syracuse and led by 2 scores in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go and blew that lead. Boston College, meanwhile, was in the middle of this. Cal, Pitt, Clemson, Connecticut, Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech. What's the least important game in this entire stretch? It would be the non-conference game, the non-Notre Dame game against Connecticut. So least important game versus most important game. Huge schedule edge to Connecticut. It was on the tour, or was on the schedule predictor last week, and the computer used it as a selection last week. Well, this week, the roles are reversed a little bit. Connecticut's coming off that massive game, and you can't play 2 5 games in a row. If you play a 5 game, then you're going to have a weaker game the next week. So they're coming off a big road upset, and now they're traveling on the road again. And they're traveling not in the same area. Most of their games here are on the East Coast. Now they're traveling all the way to Texas, for crying out loud. So it's a strange situation. Meanwhile, you look at Rice. Rice is at home, off a bye, off a loss. Good situation. You remember Rice. We used them on the tour against Navy. They delivered for us in a 21-13 loss. Navy's a really good team, and that was at Navy. They only lost by 8. Right now, Rice is getting 10.5 in this game. And so it's a big, if you click on the situational plays here, and I have to explain this to you on the schedule predictor, you see the situation. If it is a negative number, that means that the visitor has the advantage. If it's a positive number, that means that the home team has the advantage. And as you see here, Rice has a 2 schedule edge. That's pretty high for the schedule predictor. If it's 1.5 or higher, it becomes a scheduling edge. So they've got that going for them. The last time here, Rice was a 10-point favorite. Last year when they met, what happened in that game? Connecticut won 17-10 at home, and they were a 7-point favorite. So what this category does, and it gives me a chance to explain it, it says if you were a 7-point favorite at home, take away your 3-point home edge. That makes you a 4-point average. Now add 3-point home edge to your opponent. It's basically a 6-point difference. So if you were a 7-point favorite at home, you would have been a 1-point favorite on the road. So last year, Connecticut would have been a 1-point favorite here, and they would have won by 1 because they won by 7 at home. You'd win by 6 less on the road. You'd win by 1. So that makes it a best bet here because they're getting 10.5. So it is an overall best bet. It's in this category. The overall best bet's 40 and 27 and 2. I know a lot of you guys like to play individual categories, which makes it fun with the schedule predictor. But this is definitely your situational play of the week. We have Rice off a bye, them traveling to Texas. And by the way, UConn has not faced the option. You know, it's always great when you have a team that's normally playing the option or knows how to defend the option. Rice hasn't played or Connecticut hasn't played the option since 2022. So we have that advantage as well. Your situational play of the week is Rice. Actually, that's only the 4th play. I got a 5th one for you, and it's my misleading final game of the week. And for the misleading final game of the week, we're going to put Louisiana on the left, and we're going to put Troy on the right. Now, generally, when the final score doesn't match up with what happened in the game, that makes it a misleading final. Here we've got a double misleading final, which I really like. When you look at Louisiana on the left, last week against Southern Miss, if we click on their game, they lost by 12, so they lost big, right? Well, look at this. They had a 19-14 first down edge. They were only outgained 370-352. And when you look at a game, a couple things happened here. The things that happened in favor, or that for ULL, is ULL late at the end of the first half. Let's go take a look at that. We zip down here. I go through the play-by-play of every game. This one I happen to be watching. And, well, I watch them all, naturally. And so at this point, I'm looking up at the TV. Second quarter. Is this second quarter? Second quarter. Oh, ULL intercepted Southern Miss field goal. ULL, Southern Miss drive starts. Intercepted 3rd and 15. They get intercepted, return 34. They get intercepted at the goal line with 3 seconds left in the half. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different game for a minute. Here they're driving. They've got the ball. The half's almost over. You got 15 seconds left to half. They get intercepted, and the ball's returned 34 yards, and Southern Miss gets a field goal, 52 yards on the last play of the half to make it 13-7. Then, if we come back up here for a minute, we'll go all the way up here. Then Southern Miss got a 98-yard touchdown pass, which, that's a huge play. And then at the end of the game, let's go to the end of the game. That's more or less what I was thinking about. We zip to the end of the game here in the 4th quarter. Lunch Winfield, which I'll talk to you about him in a minute, is the QB. And at the very end, here we go. Louisiana, 4th and 9. What the hell happened? At the goal line, he fumbled into the end zone for a touchback. Where's that at? Loss of 8. Fumbled into the end zone for a touchback. Well, they fumbled into the end zone for a touchback, and it was 19-14 first down edge in the game. Now, last week, if you go look at Troy was actually outgained and out first down by ULM. What happened in their game, I'm not going to take the time to go through everything. They had an 11-1 touchdown. In other words, 11 yards, 1 play for a touchdown after an interception, and then 7 yards and 4 plays for a field goal, once again after a turnover, and a 53-yard interception return for a touchdown. So they won 37-14, but they were actually out first down 20-13. So you got one misleading final versus the other. The thing I want to mention about Louisiana is 2 weeks ago, they were playing Marshall, and they were down against Marshall. And then Lunch Whitfield came off the bench, led them to 6 drives for touchdowns. Oh, I know what I was talking about with that fumble in the end zone. It was against James Madison, or the play against James Madison is the game I was thinking of. So anyway, they went 7-13 for 125, led them to 6 scores on 6 drives. They played a great game against James Madison. They played closer in the final score here. The James Madison game, this one I can show you real quick. And I'm watching the game on one of the screens, and they were at the 1-yard line. So I'm like, okay, it's 21-7 ULL at the half. And the next time I looked, it was 14-7 at the half. I'm like, what? And what happened was it was 2nd and goal at the 1. They went for it and didn't score. That's the thing I was thinking of in my head. And that could have been 21-7 at the half. They would have beat James Madison on the road had they been up 21-7, but they ended up losing by 10. So anyway, here they're getting 9.5 points against Troy, and they played much better. It's also a technical play. Let's go see what I have here. The schedule predictor. What do we have here for technical play on this one? Do I have it on here? Louisiana against Troy. Away dog home favorite series. Okay, here's your technical plays. Louisiana is 20-11-1 ATS as an away dog over 10 years. I could show you it, but it's on there. Use your Phil Steele Plus. Troy is 16-23-1 as a home favorite. 0-1 this year. And in the series, that one I will show you because I haven't showed you anything in the series yet. If we click on the opponent, it gives you the complete series history. Now, if it's green here, that means they won the game straight up. If it's red, that means they lost the game straight up. If it's green here, they covered. If it's red, they did not cover. You don't have to do any math. And over here, this is the home team. So Troy's at home. You see the home team, if it's win, that means they won straight up. But the cover is the big thing. If it's green, they covered. So the home team is covered 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 7-1. 3-7-1, 3-8-1, 3-9-1 for the home team in this series. So the visitor does well. You have a great away dog. You have a poor home favorite. And you have a misleading final versus a misleading final. Add it all up. We're going with Louisiana plus 9.5 over Troy. Now, I appreciate all the comments that we get on the YouTube thing, except for the guy that keeps posting wrong records for some strange reason. But we got quick hitters. And the guy said, we might as well call them long things. I'm going to try to keep these quick hitters short for you this week. Okay, guys? We're going to start out with North Carolina against Virginia. And once again, I'm going to try to make this short. The buy sign may have went on. And I'm going to limit the amount of things I use, but I will mention some. All right, so with North Carolina, last week, you look at this game against Cal. They lost by 3. They actually fumbled on the first play of the game, giving Cal a touchdown. You see here they got a drive. And at the end of the game, North Carolina scores the touchdown to win the game, 25-21, but they fumbled into the end zone for a touchback. So I think North Carolina is starting to play well. The dog in this series, if we take a look here, you can see that the underdog, I'll move this over a little, the underdog is 5-1 the last 6 with 4 outright upsets. North Carolina's getting 10.5 points at home in this one. I don't know if this one made the schedule predictor or not. Let me see if it did. Schedule predictor, it did not. But the home team has done extremely well. The home dog. So that's it. Let's go. Quick hitter, North Carolina plus 10.5. Quick hitters are 17-7 the last 4 weeks. Special teams game of the week. I had mentioned that earlier. If you go to the special teams chart, you'll see Iowa is number 11. Minnesota is number 66. The special teams play of the week is 2-0. Also, if you go to the series, click on Iowa real quick. I want to make these quick. I want to make sure you don't spend too much time on the tour. I also want to show you how to use the site so much. But anyway, Iowa. And take a look at the series. Iowa against Minnesota. We see that Iowa's dominated this series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and 1 ATS. So they've dominated the series. Big special teams edge. And in the schedule predictor, let's go take a look at that again. And we're going to see, I do have this one up here, Iowa, Minnesota. Look at the plus-minus power ratings are with them. And how about the last 4 weeks? Iowa by 16.6. Let's look that up. And we see that Minnesota last time, or they've got outgained by Purdue here. They're playing the last 4 weeks. And this is really, the last 4 weeks has gotten off to a decent start this year. What's the record on the last 4 weeks real quick? Let's see what that, oh, nope, wrong one. Schedule predictor, last 4 weeks record is 8-6 last week, 15-50 on the air. This last 5 weeks of the year is when the schedule predictors last 4 weeks, because you're lopping off basically half the season. So here, these first 3 games, we don't even count them. We just see what they're doing the last 4. Their last 4 weeks, they're playing at a 100 level. Iowa's playing at 112.6. That puts them by 12.1. Add in the home field edge. That is Iowa by 16.6. Your special teams game of the week, also a last 4 weeks play, also a technical play, is to take Iowa minus 8.5 over Minnesota. All right, plus minus opponent average. This one we're looking at. We are looking at Utah against Colorado this week. Let's take a look at that. And the plus minus opponent average, we'll put Utah over here on the right real quick, Utah, and we'll put Colorado on the left. Now, I know Devin Dampier may not play in this game. I'm very familiar with that. No problem. The line's dropped to 13.5. It's compensated for that. Utah is the much better team here. And here's what I mean. These numbers on the page, here's what they mean. This means they have gained 133 yards above what opponents normally allow. So if the opponent normally allows 300 yards a game, then Utah is going to put up 133. Look last week. BYU, they put up 470 yards. They're plus 207. That means that BYU in all their other games, besides Utah, is allowing 263 yards per game. Against Utah, they allowed 470. Defensively, they're holding opponents to 101 yards per game below their average. So if you look at this chart here, while Utah may not be ranked, may not be up there, they're actually number 7 in this category at plus 233.6. And for Colorado, you got to come all the way down here. Colorado is, come on, where's Colorado? Colorado. I think they're 80-something, Colorado. Well, there they are, number 75, Colorado. So you've got the number 6 against the number 75. And one other thing, you're playing with legitimate revenge here. Go back to last year. It was a brutal season for Utah. Their worst loss of the year, most of their losses are very close. Colorado put it on them, 49-24. So they are playing with legitimate revenge. We're going to go with Utah on this one, and they are minus 13.5 over Colorado. And yes, I know Devin Dampier may not play in this one. How about close the back door? All right, and once again, trying to make these quick for you guys. Let's go. Close the back door. We're going to put Michigan State over here on the rail. Michigan State's a home team, but all right, I mixed that up for brevity's sake. We'll do this. Look at Michigan State's scores. Now, this is their last 4 games. They are 0-4 their last 4 games. They're minus 117 yards per game. Last 4 weeks, Michigan is 3-1. They're plus 57 yards per game. I like that. But let's look at their scores. Against USC, Michigan State gets a 75-yard TD pass with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left for, you guessed it, the backdoor cover. Then they play Nebraska. And against Nebraska, they get a 1-yard TD run with 2:01 left for a backdoor push cover loss because they failed on the 2-point conversion. Then against Indiana last week, I mentioned at the top of the tour, we get ahead of the spread, as Kurt Cignetti always does, 38-10. And then look at this. Michigan State gets a field goal with 33 seconds left for the cover. So they've been the backdoor kings here. I'm saying Michigan slams the backdoor. And it's a rivalry game. And Michigan State's at home at night. But let's take a look at the last time they played this game at Michigan State. It was 2023. Michigan won the game 49-0. This is big brother versus little brother. Michigan State had been beating them all these years. Look at all that red in here. Michigan's handled them the last 3. They've won by 22, 49, and 7. So we're going to go with Michigan, minus 14 over Michigan State in this one. And it's also a line of scrimmage game. And that's when Michigan does best. The games they lost here, they lost to USC because they got outgained at the line of scrimmage. When they're at their best, they run the ball well and they stop the run. Well, Michigan State is that team. They give them that advantage. Michigan State can be run against. Look at USC. Look at UCLA. And they struggle to run the football. Look at this. They're only averaging 89 yards per game in conference play. They're giving up 5.1 yards per carry. Michigan plays its best ball when it can run the ball, 5.5 in conference play, and stop the run. It's a line of scrimmage game as well. We're going Michigan minus 14. How about the jilted team? And this one I don't have to show you too much, but I will say this. New Mexico, once again, want to make it quick, is playing Utah State. Utah State's coach, Bronco Mendenhall, took over New Mexico last year and did a great job. He's doing a great job at Utah State. Got Utah State over here. But here's the thing. He signed in, played 1 year at New Mexico, was a coach for 1 year, and then left for Utah State. Now, Some may say he's got the advantage of knowing the players. Well, guess what? Half the roster's changed. He only knows half the players. He doesn't know Jack Lane. He doesn't know Humphrey. He doesn't know these guys. They're all transfers. However, the majority of this New Mexico team that is there know that their coach left them for Utah State. He just left them there. He felt that Utah State was better opportunity than New Mexico. So this entire team wants to win the game. Meanwhile, this Utah State team, which is filled with transfers, doesn't know anything about Mendenhall, New Mexico. So we are going with New Mexico -3 over Utah State. And the final one is the transfer mail-in game. And if you go back to last year and take a look at Florida State at the end of the year, they had so many transfers, and then once things started to go bad, they just started mailing it in. And we see this a lot of times in the transfers, but I'll bring it up here specifically. Look at all these losses. The only win they had was against an FCS team. Once they lost to Clemson here, it was over. Loss, all against the spread. And they got progressively worse. 52-3, 35-11. Really bad stuff. That's what Oklahoma State's going through. They had a ton of transfers. They were one of the most transfer portal teams. They had so many players come in after spring. So there's no culture at Oklahoma State. There's no anything. And their quarterbacks, how about this? A 2-4 ratio for their top 3 QBs. Texas Tech just crushes teams. And Texas Tech has a massive defensive edge. They're holding opponents to 2.2 yards per game below their average. They get 23 sacks. They have a top-notch pass D. They're holding opponents 103 below. Oklahoma State doesn't even have a defense. It's a green-red game. Look at all this green here. Look at all this red. Now, the number's high. Yeah, I admit it. The number is 38. But this is a Texas Tech team that will hang it on you. 67-7, 62-14. They can put it on you in a game. They even beat a good Kansas team by 25. Oklahoma State, I think it's going to be like Florida State. You're just going to see these scores get worse and worse and worse each week. We're going with Texas Tech -38. By the way, I don't have a computer one to use, but I wouldn't let it play. But my computer's forecast on this game is 53-5 in favor of Texas Tech. That's 48 points. We're going to lay the 38 with Texas Tech. All right, there's your quick hitters. Let's get to your one NFL play for this week. Hopefully it'll be just as successful as last week. On the right, let's go to NFL for starters. We are going to put the Atlanta Falcons. And you remember I accidentally stumbled upon the Atlanta Falcons 3 weeks ago? I don't follow the NFL. Got to admit it. Don't watch it. Don't follow it. I do see the scores on ESPN, but I don't really pay attention. I had no idea that Atlanta was up there in the ratings, despite their record. I mean, they're a 3-3 team, right? But they're taking on Miami this week. Miami's a team we're going to enjoy picking on here. So here's Miami on the left and Atlanta on the right. The first thing you can look at is the AGG, 91.3 versus 76.2. And you can look at the last 4 weeks AGG, 88.7 to 75.6. Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look at those factors. Once again, if we go here to the NFL team pages, not the NFL team, Phil Steele Plus menu I should go to the NFL information. Let's start out with the AGG. This makes it easy for you. It's got them all right here. Atlanta's number 3 in the NFL in AGG. And once again, there is no starting point for Atlanta. It doesn't care who your quarterback is, running back or receiver. It doesn't care what your record was last year. All that counts is what you've done against the opponents this year. They're plus 99 yards per game. They've taken on some pretty good opponents. They've got a great AGG. Meanwhile, Miami, as we pointed out last week, is towards the bottom of the AGG. Same thing here. Atlanta is here, number 8. Miami is down here, number 28. All right, AGG covered. Let's get to the strength of wins, pain of losses. Now, in this one, you get credit for every win of an opponent you beat, and you get credit for every loss of an opponent you lose to. The Atlanta Falcons are only middle of the pack, 10-7. But Miami's 0-16. They haven't beaten a team that's won a game this year. Their only win was over the Jets. So that's a pretty substantial advantage. You figure there's a 16-point different edge in the NFL from top to bottom. So that's 8 if it's half, plus the home field. That's about 11. And your final category here, and this is the one that got me excited about Atlanta 2 weeks ago, was the offensive and defensive YPP average. That's these numbers out here. And once again, that's they're gaining 50 yards more than their opponents normally allow. They're holding opponents to 95 yards per game below what opponents allow. They have the number 1 defense in the NFL. I love teams with the number one defense. I remember 2 years ago, I think it was, I got on San Francisco on the tour because they were great defense, and they covered like 7 straight games or something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but let's ride this Atlanta Falcons team. They are number one in the NFL. They're above Kansas City. All these teams, they're above them, plus 145. Where's Miami? Oh, they're down here at minus 70.5. So that is a huge play there. Add it all up. Everything is on Atlanta. Why are they only a 7.5-point favorite here? We're going to take Atlanta minus 7.5 at home over Miami. Well, there you go with this week's tour. I hope you get on board with that special I gave you. The Battle is on tour. The computer's red hot. The tour is doing well. And you could get Phil Steele Plus and have access to all this information that we've been cruising through here. Don't pay this $99. Pay this price here and get PressBox. Check that out. And don't forget to check out the FCS plays on Saturday. Off a rare losing week last week. Chris going to get it rolling this week with the FCS plays. They have a remarkable record over the last 3 years. And thanks for taking the Phil Steele Plus tour.